It's awesome to be here. It's been one of the more exciting build-ups to any show that I've been part of in my 10-year tenure of producing Game Day. To go off the radar, to give some love to a program like North Dakota State that certainly deserves it, it's been great. It's rejuvenated, I think, our entire crew in the first month of the season, and we're fired up to be here. Late fourth quarter in the Kansas State game, we were in the truck at Clemson, and we were sort of just messing around where we were going to go the next few weeks. And we said, week 2, there's a bunch of games. Week 3 is Bama A&M. Week 4, a little weaker on the 1A slate. And someone said, oh, God, North Dakota State's beating Kansas State. And then someone said, gosh, haven't they beaten a bunch of other FBS schools recently? And we looked it up, and we said, haven't they won a national title? No, 2. Wow, no, not 2. They've won 10. So, God, they're the sort of the Alabama of FCS. And we said, are they home this week? And it turns out they were. And from that point on, it just slowly picked up momentum. And everyone back at ESPN was, they sort of took our word and they got behind it, and here we are. I tell every program that we go to, it's a 2-day infomercial for the university. It's a free recruiting DVD for the program. In this case, for the town and the city. So, I hope we can just help a little bit.
It's been an overwhelmingly positive week for me. I got to ride on a bison ranch and have our gator bucked by a ton-plus bison while we were doing that. Hopefully that will never make air because it's vaguely terrifying. But it's been a fantastic experience, and the program is just a great program to be around. Being around practice, it was so easy to see the joy of the players. Sometimes at the biggest levels of college football or any sport, you see a sense of entitlement. There is no sense in that direction whatsoever around the Bison program. I think that comes from Coach Bowl, it comes from a great coaching staff, but it also comes from the great fuel that a lot of these players get from the Bison chip on their shoulder, which is, you might have overlooked me. I'm here to announce you might have missed something. We had a number of players from Brock on down, and I'm sure all of you have heard sentiments and feelings in that direction about, I think I could have played in the FBS and I could have played well, but this is where I'm at, and playing as well as I have has been a thrill. I think the point we heard most is probably a point Chris has heard, and I know it's one that Lee heard, and it's about what the perception is here, that whatever the gap is perceived to be between FBS and FCS, it is shrinking. And there's a great pride on the FCS side in doing everything that can be done to close that gap. I go back to the chip on the shoulder feeling and how much fuel I think the entire division gets out of that, but the notion that an elite program which is trying to three-peat, which is an incredible feat, again, a program that's won 10 titles, that I've learned a whole lot.
To be honest with you, I've done this 24 years. We've taken this show everywhere. It's the 32nd state we've gone, and I've never seen anything like this interest in a game day appearance. So it's very flattering for us. No, I mean, we're familiar with the program. As Tom said, we've all watched the playoff games. I've seen the lunacy that is the Fargo Dome, wonder what it was like, and admired the program in recent years and what Greg Bowl and the players have achieved. So I was familiar with it. It wasn't like we were going way off the reservation to a place we'd never heard of. The first thing you get excited about is the opportunity to showcase this program and the division, to educate people. We have the opportunity to show the world what it's like in Fargo, downtown Fargo, but we'll also feature the team in the Fargo Dome and also educate people about the division. I think that, as Tom mentioned, there's a lot about the FCS that the typical viewer of Game Day doesn't understand. The history of it, the number of players that come out of the division, the number of players currently in the NFL, the way that the championship is settled. I'm a big playoff proponent, and I like the bracket, the way it's been settled on the field here for a long time, very effectively, without all the problems that people perceive a playoff brings with it. So it'll be a showcase for the whole division as well as the Bison. That was the opportunity to sort of do it. This will not look like any other game day we've ever done. We have done shows in domes. We've done shows in parking lots of stadiums, which we're trying to get away from. We've done plenty of shows from campuses. and people would wonder why it isn't on the campus. Again, we need a pretty big footprint. There's so much more that goes on behind the scenes at game day, besides a set and some cameras, that it requires a lot of space, lots of logistics, and I think that this stood out above the locations we looked at on campus. And next time maybe we'll do it inside the dome. I'll tell you what Mac Brown told me yesterday when I was talking to him, and he's watching Kansas State tape. Excellent team, fundamentally sound, mature. They played like you'd want a team to play as a coach. They represent discipline, sound football. They don't try to trick you necessarily. Blue-collar mentality. That's what we'll get across, I think. It's not that they're winning these championships with smoke and mirrors. Just old-fashioned basic football, getting the most out of the players that they attract, getting players from farther afield than I imagined before I started looking into the roster. So, when the coach of Texas tells you that a team that he's scared to death to play, that got beat on its home field in a comeback by North Dakota State, that tells me that there's national respect.
I went back and week one, I think of all the games that kind of stood out that week, there was a shock that went across the college football world when that one happened, because nothing against what North Dakota State has accomplished, but of all the coaches, as you guys know, that prepares his team never to overlook an opponent or never show up where you're not prepared, it's Kansas State. And to go to Manhattan, Kansas, the defending Big 12 champions, and not just win the game, but I think the fashion in which they did it, it really, I think, got a lot of people's attention. And I think, even though they've won back-to-back national championships at the FCS level, I think that win probably catapulted them more into the nation's view than anything. And I think it made people, not just game day coming here, but it made people recognize the job that Coach Bull's doing and what this program's about. Because what I said after that game was, this wasn't one of those games where Kansas State laid down and North Dakota State kind of slid in and got a win. They needed to drive basically the length of the field and convert on some third downs with the game on the line and score a touchdown to beat Kansas State in Manhattan, and did it. The great programs at this level have a unique ability to find players who fit their way of running a program, and they play with a chip on their shoulder. And when I watch this team, that's what they seem to do. They've been able to gather players and get them to be able to play with a little bit of an edge. And the only reason that I think we're seeing upsets now with the FCS being able to knock off the FBS is because of, I think, some players are sneaking through the cracks, and I think the difference is now you spread defenses out with formations, and if you have a Brock Jensen, if you have a guy that can run or can throw or do some things at any level, Georgia Southern, wherever it might be, I think the quarterback today in college football is probably more of an equalizer at any level of football. Yeah, I mean, I knew him when he was at Nebraska pretty well, and that's the great thing about my job is you build these relationships with coaches at various programs, and just always really respected everything that he was about, and just been blown away with basically him taking the blueprint from Lincoln and bringing it to Fargo. I think if you look at the characteristics of his teams here and go back and look at the teams that he was a part of as an assistant coach for Tom Osborne, you can see a lot of similarities as far as what we were talking about earlier, kind of playing with a chip on your shoulder, having that workman-like attitude, being selfless, and just being willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win. It's just fun to be able to bring our show to somewhere we've never been. And it's really exciting to bring it to a level of football that isn't used to getting this kind of attention. The video, I think, said it all when our bus and our trucks came pulling in, and to see the excitement, it gave me chills, just to see all these people so excited about their program. And because for us, it's all about you guys, and it's all about these players, and it's all about the coach. We just happen to be a conduit to the fans. We never look at this selfishly. We never look at it like it's about us. Hey, the rock stars are here. We're the last guys to do that. We just happen to bring a show, and it's your spotlight for 48 hours. Let's go crazy and show America who you happen to be.